Don't shop alone at Austin's Whole Foods after dark. The Gypsy's Haunting Curse Chapter 1. The accidental collision. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting a deep orange glow over the city of Austin. The streets were alive with the hum of evening activity, and the Whole Foods flagship store was no exception. The store, known for its vast selection of organic products and bustling atmosphere, was a hive of activity. Locals and tourists alike flocked to its aisles, filling their carts with fresh produce, artisanal cheeses, and gourmet chocolates. Amidst the crowd was an old woman, her silver hair cascading down her back in thick waves. She moved slowly, her eyes scanning the shelves with a discerning gaze. Her cart was filled with an assortment of unique items: dried herbs, crystal vials, and ornate candles. To the casual observer, she might have seemed like any other shopper, but there was an air of mystery about her, an aura that hinted at ancient wisdom and secrets long forgotten. As she made her way down the aisle, her focus was on a particular jar of rare honey when, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed a staff member rushing towards her. The young man, in his early 20s, was engrossed in a conversation on his headset, his attention divided between the voice in his ear and the boxes he was carrying. Before either of them could react, the inevitable happened. The staff member, in his haste, collided with the old woman's cart. The impact sent her stumbling backward, the jar of honey slipping from her grasp and shattering on the floor. The contents spilled, creating a sticky mess. The old woman tried to regain her balance, but it was too late. She fell against the metal shelving, her arm striking the edge with a sickening thud. The noise of the collision drew the attention of nearby shoppers. Gasps and murmurs filled the air as they rushed to the scene. The staff member, realizing the gravity of his mistake, quickly dropped the boxes and rushed to the old woman's side. "I'm so sorry," he exclaimed, panic evident in his voice. "Are you okay?" The old woman, grimacing in pain, slowly pushed herself to a sitting position. Her eyes, once filled with curiosity, now burned with anger. She cradled her injured arm, dark bruises already forming on her pale skin. "Young man," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom, "do you realize what you've done?" The staff member gulped, his face pale. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry." The old woman's gaze bore into him, making him feel as if she was peering into the very depths of his soul. "Sorry? Sorry will not undo the harm you've caused." Around them, a crowd had gathered, their expressions a mix of concern and curiosity. The store manager, having been alerted to the situation, quickly made his way through the throng of onlookers. "What happened here?" he demanded, his eyes darting between the injured woman and the distraught staff member. Before the young man could answer, the old woman spoke up, her voice cold and commanding. "Your employee, in his carelessness, has caused me great harm. And for that, there will be consequences." The manager, taken aback by the woman's tone, tried to placate her. "Ma'am, I assure you, we will do everything in our power to make this right. Please, let us help you." The old woman's lips curled into a smirk. "Help? It's too late for that." She slowly rose to her feet, using the cart for support. "With the breath of the wise, your store shall see demise," she intoned, her voice echoing through the store. The air grew cold, and the lights flickered ominously. The old woman spat on the floor, her eyes never leaving the manager's. "Dormant demon of deeds done ill, possess this shopping cart and the store that holds it within." The crowd watched in stunned silence as the old woman continued her curse. "I don't care how you try. This curse will make many cry." Only my kind words will make this evil subside." With that, she spat on the floor again, her eyes filled with malice. The manager, his face ashen, tried to speak, but no words came out. The old woman, her message delivered, turned on her heel and made her way to the exit. As she left, she muttered under her breath, her words a chilling promise of the troubles and woe that awaited the store and its patrons. The crowd, still in shock, slowly dispersed, whispering among themselves. The staff member, his face streaked with tears, sank to the floor, the weight of his mistake crushing him. As the store's PA system crackled to life, announcing the evening's specials, an eerie silence settled over the store. The events of the evening were just the beginning, and the curse of the old gypsy grandmother was about to unfold. Chapter 2. The first signs. The morning sun cast a warm glow over Austin, but inside the Whole Foods flagship store, the atmosphere was anything but sunny. The events of the previous evening weighed heavily on the minds of the staff, especially the young man involved in the accident. He had been given the day off, but the memory of the old gypsy grandmother's curse haunted every corner of the store. It began subtly. The first sign was the ice-making plant. The machine, which had been running smoothly for years, suddenly began to groan and whir in an unusual manner. The staff responsible for its maintenance were baffled. Despite their best efforts, the machine refused to produce ice. Instead, it spat out lukewarm water, flooding the area around it. "Must be a technical glitch," muttered Jake, the head of the maintenance team, as he tinkered with the machine. "I've never seen anything like this." His assistant, Mia, wasn't so sure. "You heard about what happened last night, right?" she whispered, glancing around to ensure no one was within earshot. "The old woman, the curse?" Jake rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, Mia. You don't believe in that superstitious nonsense, do you?" Mia hesitated, her fingers playing with the pendant around her neck. "I don't know, Jake. My grandma used to tell me stories about curses and hexes. They're more real than you think." Jake chuckled, dismissing her concerns. "Let's just get this machine fixed, okay?" But as the day wore on, it became clear that the ice-making plant wasn't the only problem. Up on the roof, the store's popular skating rink, a winter attraction for locals and tourists, was undergoing a transformation of its own. The usually crisp and solid ice was melting at an alarming rate. By midday, the rink had turned into a large pool of water, with confused skaters staring in disbelief. "This is impossible," exclaimed Sarah, the manager of the rink. "The cooling system is on full blast. The ice shouldn't be melting." Her assistant, Carlos, was equally perplexed. "I've triple-checked everything. The system's working perfectly. It's like something's forcing the ice to melt." Sarah frowned, her thoughts drifting to the rumors she'd heard about the previous night's incident. "Do you think?" Quote. She began, but Carlos interrupted her. "Don't even say it," he warned. "We don't need more panic and rumors." But rumors were already spreading like wildfire. Throughout the store, staff members whispered about the curse, exchanging stories and speculations. Some, like Jake, dismissed it as mere superstition, a coincidence blown out of proportion. But others, especially those who had witnessed the old gypsy grandmother's wrath, weren't so sure. In the break room, a group of employees gathered around a table, their voices hushed. "I heard the old woman was a powerful witch," said one cashier, her eyes wide with fear. "She's cursed places before, and they've all met with terrible fates." A stalker chimed in, "My cousin works at a store in San Antonio. He said they once offended a gypsy, and the entire place burned down the next day. A third employee, a baker, shook his head. It's all nonsense, he declared. Curses, witches, it's all fairy tales. We're just having a bad day, that's all. But as the day turned into evening, and more strange occurrences plagued the store, even the skeptics began to have their doubts. Shopping carts moved on their own, produce wilted and rotted within hours, and the store's PA system played eerie, distorted music at random intervals. The store manager, Mr. Thompson, tried to maintain order, assuring customers and staff alike that everything was under control. But deep down, he was shaken. He had seen the old gypsy grandmother's fury firsthand, and he couldn't help but wonder if her curse was real. As night fell, the store's atmosphere grew tense. The once bustling aisles were now eerily quiet, with only the occasional whisper or gasp breaking the silence. The events of the past 24 hours had taken their toll, and everyone was on edge. In the dim light of the store, the reflection of the pool on the rooftop glistened, and the sound of dripping water echoed throughout the building. The curse, it seemed, was only just beginning. Chapter 3. The midnight malfunctions. The clock struck midnight, its chimes echoing through the now deserted Whole Foods flagship store. The aisles, which usually bustled with activity, lay in shadow, the dim emergency lights casting an eerie glow over the shelves. But while the store might have seemed dormant to an outsider, within its walls, a series of inexplicable events were about to unfold. In the frozen foods section, 6 main freezers hummed in unison, their contents preserved in icy stillness. But suddenly, without warning, the hum ceased. The digital displays on each freezer blinked erratically before going dark. Within minutes, the temperature inside began to rise, and the once frozen items started to thaw. Simultaneously, in the produce section, a similar malfunction occurred. The coolers, designed to keep fruits and vegetables fresh, began to blow warm air. Lettuces wilted, berries turned to mush, and exotic fruits began to rot at an alarming rate. Mr. Thompson, the store manager, was in his office when the alarm sounded. He rushed to the control room, where a bank of monitors displayed live feeds from various parts of the store. His heart raced as he took in the scenes of chaos: melting ice creams, rotting vegetables, and customers' orders, prepared for the next day's pickup, ruined. What on earth is happening? He muttered to himself, panic rising in his chest. He was about to call the maintenance team when something on one of the monitors caught his eye. It was a feed from the store's main entrance, where a row of shopping carts was stationed. To his disbelief, the carts began to move on their own. They rolled forward a few feet, then stopped, then moved again, as if guided by an invisible hand. Mr. Thompson rubbed his eyes, thinking he was seeing things. But the carts continued their ghostly dance, moving in patterns that seemed deliberate, purposeful. He quickly rewound the footage, trying to find an explanation. But there was none. The carts were moving entirely on their own. He decided to investigate further. Grabbing a flashlight, he made his way to the store's entrance. The carts were now still, lined up neatly as if nothing had happened. But as he approached, he felt a sudden drop in temperature, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. He shone his flashlight around, looking for any signs of movement. But everything was still. Just as he was about to dismiss the incident as a trick of the light, he heard a soft whisper, coming from the direction of the carts. "Leave. While you still can." Mr. Thompson spun around, trying to locate the source of the voice. But there was no one there. The whisper seemed to have come from thin air. Shaken, He hurried back to his office, locking the door behind him. He needed to find an explanation for the night's events. He reviewed the security footage again, paying close attention to the moments leading up to the malfunctions. And that's when he noticed something odd. In the background of each feed, just before the freezers and coolers malfunctioned, he saw a shadowy figure. It was hard to make out its features, but it seemed to be an old woman, her silver hair flowing behind her. She moved silently through the store, pausing briefly in front of each malfunctioning appliance. And as she moved, the lights flickered and the temperature dropped. Mr. Thompson's mind raced. Could it be the gypsy grandmother? Was she somehow responsible for the night's events? He remembered her curse, her chilling words, and a cold dread settled in his stomach. He knew he had to act fast. The store's reputation was at stake, not to mention the safety of his staff and customers. He decided to call an emergency meeting first thing in the morning to discuss the situation and come up with a plan. But as dawn broke, and the first rays of sunlight streamed through the store's windows, Mr. Thompson couldn't shake the feeling that they were dealing with something far beyond their understanding. The events of the past 2 days were just the beginning, and the true extent of the gypsy grandmother's curse was yet to be revealed. Chapter 4. The phantom sails. The morning sun had barely risen, casting a soft golden hue over Austin. The city was slowly coming to life, with early risers making their way to work or grabbing a quick coffee. But at the Whole Foods flagship store, the atmosphere was anything but calm. It started innocently enough. The store's PA system crackled to life, its familiar chime signaling an announcement. But the voice that followed was unfamiliar, its tone eerie and distorted. Attention, valued customers. For the next hour only, enjoy massive discounts of up to 75% on all items. Hurry, while stocks last. The announcement was met with a mixture of shock and excitement. Customers, who had come in for their usual morning shopping, exchanged glances, their carts momentarily forgotten. A 75% discount was unheard of, especially at a store like Whole Foods. Within minutes, the store was buzzing with activity. Customers rushed to fill their carts, grabbing items off the shelves without a second thought. The produce section, despite the previous night's malfunction, was quickly emptied, with fruits and vegetables flying off the shelves. The frozen food section, despite its thawed contents, saw a similar frenzy, with customers vying for the last remaining items. The staff, caught off guard by the sudden announcement, struggled to keep up. Checkout lines grew longer and longer, with customers growing impatient. Tempers flared as people argued over the last remaining items, and the store's security team was called in to manage the situation. Mr. Thompson, who had been in a meeting discussing the previous night's events, rushed to the store floor, his face pale. "What's going on?" he demanded, trying to make himself heard over the din. One of the cashiers, a young woman named Lucy, looked up, her face flushed. "The PA system announced a massive sale, sir. We don't know who made the announcement, but the customers are going crazy." Mr. Thompson's mind raced. They had not planned any sales, let alone one of this magnitude. He rushed to the control room, hoping to find answers. But the PA system, like the freezers and coolers before it, seemed to have a mind of its own. No matter what they tried, they couldn't turn it off or override the announcement. As the chaos continued, another announcement rang out, this one even more bizarre than the first. "Attention, customers. For the next 10 minutes, all items are free. Grab whatever you can and enjoy." The store erupted in pandemonium. Customers, thinking it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, abandoned their carts and began grabbing items with both hands. Shelves were emptied in seconds, and the store's security team was overwhelmed. The staff, realizing the gravity of the situation, tried to intervene. "Stop. This is a mistake," shouted Jake, the head of the maintenance team, as he tried to block customers from leaving the store with armfuls of unpaid items. But his pleas fell on deaf ears. The customers, caught up in the frenzy, were unstoppable. Within minutes, the store was emptied, its shelves bare and aisles littered with discarded items. Mr. Thompson, his face ashen, watched in disbelief. The store, which had been a symbol of quality and trust for years, was now a scene of chaos and destruction. He knew they had to act fast to salvage the situation. Gathering his team, he quickly devised a plan. They would close the store for the day, assess the damage, and try to find out who or what was behind the phantom sales. They would also reach out to the customers, asking them to return the unpaid items and offering them genuine discounts as a goodwill gesture. As the day wore on, and the dust settled, the staff worked tirelessly to restore order. Shelves were restocked, damaged items were discarded, and the PA system was thoroughly checked for any signs of tampering. But as night fell, and the store's lights were dimmed, an eerie silence settled over the building. The events of the past few days had taken their toll, and the staff was left with more questions than answers. Who was behind the phantom sales? Was it the work of the gypsy grandmother, or was there another force at play? And most importantly, what would happen next? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The curse of the Whole Foods flagship store was far from over. Chapter 5. The anthem of the apparitions the next day dawned with a sense of trepidation. The staff of the Whole Foods flagship store arrived early, their faces etched with worry. The events of the past few days had shaken them to their core, and they braced themselves for another day of unexpected chaos. It was mid-morning when the first strains of the anthem began to play. The familiar tune, usually reserved for special occasions, echoed through the store's PA system. Customers paused, looking around in confusion. The anthem was not scheduled to play, and its sudden appearance was as baffling as it was unexpected. But as the anthem continued, something even stranger happened. The shopping carts, which had been stationary, began to move. At first, they rolled slowly, their wheels squeaking softly. But as the anthem reached its crescendo, the carts picked up speed, weaving through the aisles with a mind of their own. Customers watched in horror as the carts targeted those who weren't participating in the anthem. Those who tried to ignore the music found themselves chased by the phantom carts, which seemed to have a life of their own. The carts would corner their targets, banging into them repeatedly until they stood still and joined in the singing. Lucy, the young cashier, watched in disbelief. "This is insane," she whispered to Mia, who stood beside her. "We have to do something." But before they could act, the anthem ended, and the carts came to a sudden stop. The store was plunged into silence, the only sound being the soft murmurs of confused customers. The incident, however, did not go unnoticed. Within minutes, videos of the phantom carts began to appear on social media. Customers shared their experiences, their videos capturing the chaos and fear of the moment. The hashtag Haunted Whole Foods began to trend, and the store's reputation took a massive hit. News outlets picked up the story, and by evening, the Whole Foods flagship store was the talk of the town. Reporters camped outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of the phantom carts. Customers shared their stories, some laughing off the incident, while others swore never to set foot in the store again. Mr. Thompson watched the news with a sinking feeling. The store, which had been a symbol of quality and trust, was now the laughingstock of the city. He knew they had to act fast to salvage their reputation. Gathering his team, he called an emergency meeting. "We need to get to the bottom of this," he declared. "We can't let these incidents continue." Jake, the head of the maintenance team, spoke up. "I've checked the PA system, and there's no sign of tampering. It's like it's being controlled by an external force." Mia nodded in agreement. "I've spoken to some of the older staff, and they've mentioned similar incidents in the past. But nothing on this scale." Mr. Thompson sighed, rubbing his temples. "We need to find a solution, and fast. Our reputation is on the line." The team brainstormed for hours, coming up with various strategies to combat the phantom carts. They decided to bring in a team of experts, including a paranormal investigator, to get to the bottom of the mystery. As night fell, and the store closed its doors, the staff left with a sense of hope. They were determined to fight back against the curse and restore the store's reputation. But as the lights dimmed, and the store was plunged into darkness, the anthem began to play once again. The phantom carts stirred, ready for another night of chaos. The battle was far from over, and the store's darkest days were yet to come. Chapter 6. The search for solutions. The sun had barely risen, but the conference room of the Whole Foods flagship store was already abuzz with activity. Mr. Thompson sat at the head of the long wooden table, his face drawn and weary. Around him, key members of his team exchanged anxious glances, the weight of the store's predicament evident in their hushed conversations. "We can't go on like this," began Mr. Thompson, his voice heavy with concern. "Every day brings a new challenge, a new incident. Our reputation is in tatters, and our customers are scared. We need to consider all options, including closing down temporarily." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Lucy, the young cashier, spoke up. "I've had customers tell me they won't be coming back. They're genuinely frightened. And to be honest, so am I." Jake, ever the skeptic, chimed in. "We can't let superstition dictate our actions. There has to be a logical explanation for all this." Mia shot him a pointed look. "Logical? Jake, we've seen shopping carts chase people, freezers malfunction for no reason, and an anthem play on its own. This isn't just a series of coincidences." The room grew tense, the divide between believers and skeptics evident. Mr. Thompson, sensing the rising tension, intervened. "Regardless of our personal beliefs, we need a solution. And we need it fast." Carlos, who had been silent until now, cleared his throat. "I've heard of a team in New York, spectral containment specialists. They've dealt with situations like this before, places that were believed to be haunted or cursed. Maybe they can help." Mr. Thompson considered this. "It's worth a shot. Get in touch with them, Carlos. We need all the help we can get." As the meeting continued, staff members began to share their personal experiences. Stories of shadowy figures in the aisles after dark, of whispered voices in the storeroom, and of a cold, eerie presence in the break room. Each tale was more chilling than the last, painting a picture of a store under siege by forces beyond their understanding. Sarah, the manager of the skating rink, recounted a particularly harrowing incident. "I was closing up for the night when I heard the sound of skates on ice. I thought it was odd since the rink had been closed for hours. When I went to investigate, I saw a figure, skating in circles. It was an old woman, her silver hair flowing behind her. I called out to her, but she didn't respond. And then, Just as suddenly as she appeared, she vanished. The room was silent, the gravity of the situation sinking in. It was clear that they were dealing with something far beyond their comprehension. The meeting concluded with a plan of action. The store would remain open for now, but with increased security measures. The spectral containment specialists from New York would be called in to investigate and, hopefully, find a solution. And the staff would be offered counseling to help them cope with the trauma of the recent events. As the day wore on, the store tried to return to some semblance of normalcy. But the atmosphere was tense, with both staff and customers on edge. The events of the past week had taken their toll, and the store's future hung in the balance. But as night fell, and the lights dimmed, there was a sense of hope. The spectral containment specialists were on their way, and with their expertise, the store might finally find a way to break the gypsy grandmother's curse. However, as the clock struck midnight, and the familiar strains of the anthem began to play, it was clear that the battle was far from over. The store was still in the grip of the curse, and the worst was yet to come. Chapter 7. Arrival of the specialists. The sun was high in the sky when a sleek black van pulled up in front of the Whole Foods flagship store. The vehicle's tinted windows gave nothing away, but the emblem on its side, a stylized ghost trapped within a shield, spoke volumes. The spectral containment specialists from New York had arrived. The van's doors slid open, revealing a team of 4. Leading them was Dr. Eleanor Vance, a tall woman with sharp features and piercing blue eyes. Her reputation preceded her. She was one of the foremost experts in paranormal activity in the country. Flanking her were her associates, Theo, a tech genius known for his unique tools designed to detect and combat spectral entities, Luke, a historian and researcher with an encyclopedic knowledge of curses and hauntings, and Shirley, a psychic medium whose abilities were both revered and feared. Mr. Thompson, along with a few senior staff members, greeted them at the entrance. Introductions were brief. There was an urgency in the air. "We've been briefed on the situation," Dr. Vance began, her voice cool and measured. "But we'd like to hear it firsthand. Walk us through everything." As they toured the store, Mr. Thompson recounted the events of the past week, from the accidental collision with the gypsy grandmother to the phantom sales and the anthem of the apparitions. The specialists listened intently, occasionally stopping to take readings with their equipment or confer among themselves. Theo's gadgets buzzed and whirred as they detected fluctuations in the store's energy. "There's definitely something here," he murmured, his eyes scanning the readouts. "The electromagnetic readings are off the charts." Shirley, meanwhile, seemed to be in a trance. She moved slowly through the aisles, her fingers brushing the shelves, her eyes distant. "There are many spirits here," she whispered. "Angry, confused. They're trapped, bound to this place." Luke, ever the skeptic, raised an eyebrow. "Spirits? Or just the result of a faulty PA system and some old wiring?" Shirley shot him a withering look. "You know as well as I do that this isn't just a technical glitch." Dr. Vance intervened before the argument could escalate. "Let's focus on the task at hand," she said firmly. "We need to determine the source of this activity and find a way to contain it." The team set up a base in the store's conference room, turning it into a makeshift lab. Monitors displayed live feeds from throughout the store, while Theo's equipment beeped and blinked, constantly monitoring the environment. As the hours passed, the specialists delved deeper into the mystery. They reviewed the security footage, paying particular attention to the shadowy figure of the old woman. They took samples from the areas most affected by the paranormal activity, looking for any clues. and they interviewed the staff, listening to their stories and experiences. But despite their efforts, the source of the haunting remained elusive. The readings were inconsistent, the evidence inconclusive, and the specialists, for all their expertise, were at a loss. Late into the night, as the team pored over their findings, Dr. Vance voiced what they were all thinking. "This doesn't make sense," she said, frustration evident in her voice. "All the signs point to a powerful spectral entity, but there's no clear source. And as for the Gypsy Curse theory..." Quote. She trailed off, her skepticism clear. Luke nodded in agreement. "It's a convenient explanation, but there's no historical precedent. Curses, especially ones of this magnitude, are rare. And there's usually a clear cause and effect. This is random." Shirley, however, was not convinced. "There's more to this than meets the eye," she insisted. "I can feel it. There's a darkness here, an energy that's not of this world." The team debated long into the night, their theories and arguments growing more heated with each passing hour. But as dawn approached, and the first rays of sunlight streamed through the windows, they were no closer to a solution. The store, it seemed, was still in the grip of the curse. And the spectral containment specialists, for all their knowledge and expertise, were powerless to stop it. Chapter 8. The first night the decision was unanimous. To truly understand the depth of the haunting, the team would spend the night in the store. The dimmed lights of the Whole Foods flagship store cast long shadows across the aisles, creating an atmosphere that was both eerie and foreboding. The store, which bustled with life during the day, took on a different persona at night, a silent, watchful entity. Dr. Vance and her team set up camp in the conference room, their equipment spread out before them. Monitors displayed live feeds from the store's security cameras, while Theo's gadgets beeped softly, monitoring the electromagnetic spectrum for any anomalies. As the hours ticked by, the store remained quiet. But just past midnight, a soft whisper echoed through the PA system. It was the anthem, its notes distorted and off-key. The team exchanged uneasy glances. This was the first sign of the paranormal activity they had been waiting for. Shirley, her senses heightened, was the first to react. "There's something here," she murmured, her eyes scanning the room. "A presence, just beyond our perception." The team split up, each member taking a section of the store. Dr. Vance and Luke headed to the produce section, where the coolers had malfunctioned. Theo made his way to the frozen foods aisle, his equipment in hand. And Shirley, guided by her intuition, found herself drawn to the store's entrance, where the phantom carts had been seen. It was there that she had her first encounter. A shopping cart, seemingly of its own accord, began to move. It rolled forward a few feet, then stopped, its handle vibrating softly. Shirley approached cautiously, her hand outstretched. As her fingers made contact with the cart, a jolt of energy passed through her, and she was flooded with images of the old gypsy grandmother, of her fall, and of her curse. She staggered back, her breath coming in short gasps. "This cart," she whispered, her voice shaky, "it's the key. It's central to the curse." Meanwhile, Dr. Vance and Luke had their own encounter. As they walked through the produce section, the temperature dropped suddenly, their breath visible in the cold air. And then, out of the corner of their eyes, they saw her, the shadowy figure of the old woman, her silver hair flowing behind her. She moved silently through the aisles, her path erratic, as if searching for something. Theo, in the frozen foods aisle, had a similar experience. His equipment went haywire, its readings off the charts. And as he turned, he came face to face with an apparition, a young boy, no older than 10, his eyes hollow, his expression one of sadness and despair. The team regrouped, their encounters fresh in their minds. "There's no doubt about it," Dr. Vance declared. "This store is haunted. But the question is, why? What is the connection between the gypsy grandmother and these apparitions?" Shirley, still reeling from her encounter with the possessed cart, spoke up. "I believe the cart is a conduit, a vessel for the curse. The grandmother's energy, her anger, and pain, are channeled through it, giving power to the other apparitions." The team pondered this revelation, the pieces of the puzzle slowly coming together. "We need to find a way to break the curse," Dr. Vance said, determination in her voice. "And to do that, we need to understand its origins. We need to delve deeper into the history of the gypsy grandmother and find out what ties her to this store." As dawn approached, the team, exhausted but resolute, made their way out of the store. They had made significant progress, but the battle was far from over. The curse of the Whole Foods flagship store was a formidable adversary, and it would take all their skills and expertise to defeat it. Chapter 9. The deli's dark secret. The morning sun filtered through the store's large windows, casting a warm glow over the aisles. But despite the serene ambiance, a palpable tension hung in the air. The Spectral Containment Team, having experienced the store's haunting firsthand, was more determined than ever to uncover its secrets. Dr. Vance, her face set in a grim line, led the team to the deli section. The reports of a persistent rotting smell, despite no visible source, had piqued her interest. "There's something here," she murmured, her eyes scanning the area. "Something that's been overlooked." The deli, with its gleaming counters and array of fresh produce, seemed an unlikely place for a haunting. But as the team began their investigation, it became clear that appearances could be deceiving. Theo, his equipment in hand, began to take readings. The electromagnetic spectrum showed spikes in activity, especially around the meat counter. "There's a strong energy here," he reported, his brow furrowed in concentration. "It's unlike anything I've seen before." Shirley, her senses attuned to the supernatural, felt a pull towards the back of the deli. "There's something beneath us," she whispered, her voice barely audible. A presence, old and powerful. The team, guided by Shirley's intuition, began to search the area. And it was Luke, with his keen historian's eye, who made the first discovery. Hidden beneath a loose floor tile was a trapdoor, its wood old and weathered. With bated breath, the team opened the trapdoor, revealing a set of narrow stairs leading down into darkness. The air was cold and damp, and the smell of decay was overpowering. Descending cautiously, the team found themselves in a hidden basement. The space was vast, its walls lined with shelves filled with old artifacts, jars of preserved specimens, ancient books, and ritualistic tools. At the center of the room stood a stone altar, its surface stained with what looked like dried blood. Dr. Vance, her face pale, took in the scene. This is a place of dark rituals," she whispered, her voice shaky. "A place where unspeakable acts were committed." Luke, his historian's curiosity piqued, began to examine the artifacts. "These date back centuries," he reported, his voice filled with awe. "They hint at a dark past, a time when this land was used for rituals and sacrifices." The team, piecing together the clues, came to a chilling realization. The Whole Foods flagship store, with its modern facade and commitment to quality, was built on land with a dark and sinister history. The Gypsy grandmother's curse was not an isolated incident but rather a continuation of a legacy of darkness. Surely, her psychic abilities, heightened in the presence of such powerful energy, began to channel the spirits trapped in the basement. "They're angry," she reported, her voice distant. "They were betrayed, their lives taken in the name of power and greed. And now, they seek revenge." The team, realizing the gravity of the situation, knew they had to act fast. The spirits, bound to the land for centuries, were growing more powerful with each passing day. And with the Gypsy grandmother's curse amplifying their energy, the store was in grave danger. As dawn approached, the team, armed with their newfound knowledge, made their way out of the basement. They had uncovered the deli's dark secret, but the battle was far from over. The store's haunting was more complex than they had imagined, and it would take all their skills and expertise to break the curse and free the trapped spirits. Chapter 10. The Gypsies' history in the days following the arrival of the spectral containment specialists. The store manager, Mr. Thompson, decided to delve deeper into the history of the Gypsy grandmother. He felt that understanding her backstory might hold the key to unraveling the full extent of the curse that had befallen Austin's Whole Foods. To aid in his investigation, he hired a private investigator named Sarah Monroe. Sarah was known for her tenacity and resourcefulness when it came to uncovering hidden truths. She embarked on a quest to uncover the Gypsy grandmother's past. Sarah's journey led her to a nearby town, where she began her search for any trace of the mysterious Gypsy. The town was small, with a tight-knit community that had lived there for generations. As Sarah asked questions and pored over old records, she began to piece together the puzzle of the Gypsy grandmother's history. It was in the town's historical archives that she stumbled upon a treasure trove of information. Old photographs, dusty journals, and faded newspaper clippings painted a vivid picture of the Gypsies' family and their deep connection to the land on which the store now stood. The Gypsy grandmother, whose name was revealed to be Isabella Varga, came from a long line of Romani gypsies who had traveled through Europe for centuries. Her family, known for their mystical abilities and deep spiritual connection to the land, had settled in the area where the store now stood. Generations of Vargas had lived off the land, practicing ancient rituals and passing down their knowledge from one elder to the next. They believed that the land held powerful energy, a force that could bring both blessings and curses to those who inhabited it. As Sarah dug deeper, she discovered that the Vargas had a tumultuous history with the land. They had, at times, clashed with the townsfolk over territory and resources. There were accounts of heated disputes, curses, and even acts of retribution against those who had trespassed on their sacred land. One particular incident stood out in the historical records. It was a detailed account of a conflict between the Vargas and a group of townspeople who had encroached on their land to build what would eventually become Austin's Whole Foods flagship store. Isabella Varga, the Gypsy grandmother, had been just a young girl at the time but had witnessed the turmoil and violence that had unfolded. The Gypsy family's pleas for understanding and respect had fallen on deaf ears, and the conflict had ended with the Vargas being forcibly displaced from their land. Isabella's family had left behind a legacy of anger and resentment, vowing that one day they would return to reclaim their sacred territory. Sarah realized that the curse the Gypsy grandmother had placed upon the store was not just a whimsical incantation but a culmination of generations of pain, injustice, and a deep connection to the land. It was a curse born out of a sense of betrayal and a longing for justice. As Sarah returned to the Whole Foods flagship store with her findings, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The curse, she realized, was far more potent than they had initially thought. It was not just the work of a vengeful spirit but a reflection of a family's history, a history deeply intertwined with the very land on which the store stood. Mr. Thompson and the spectral containment specialists gathered to discuss their next steps. They knew that lifting the curse would require more than just appeasing a vengeful spirit. It would require addressing the root cause of the Gypsy family's pain and finding a way to heal the wounds of the past. Little did they know that the journey ahead would take them deeper into the mysteries of the land, the Gypsies' history, and the power of understanding and respect. The curse, with its origins shrouded in pain and injustice, was a formidable adversary, but they were determined to uncover the path to redemption and reconciliation. Chapter 11. The list of atonement. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden hue over the city of Austin. The Whole Foods flagship store, once a bustling hub of activity, now stood eerily silent. The haunting had taken its toll, and the store's future hung in the balance. Mr. Thompson, the store manager, knew that desperate times called for desperate measures. Armed with determination and a sliver of hope, he set out to find the Gypsy grandmother. Rumors had it that she resided on the outskirts of the city, in a caravan adorned with mystical symbols and charms. After hours of searching, he finally came upon the caravan. It stood alone in a clearing, its exterior painted in vibrant colors, with wind chimes and dream catchers swaying gently in the breeze. Taking a deep breath, Mr. Thompson approached, knocking softly on the door. The door creaked open, revealing the Gypsy grandmother. Her eyes, sharp and piercing, studied him intently. "I've been expecting you," she said, her voice raspy with age. Mr. Thompson, taken aback, replied, "I've come to seek your help. The store is in chaos, and we need a way to reverse the curse." The Gypsy grandmother, her expression inscrutable, beckoned him inside. The interior of the caravan was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of incense. Shelves lined the walls, filled with jars of herbs, crystals, and other mystical artifacts. She motioned for him to sit, and after a moment of silence, began to speak. "The curse I placed on your store was not done lightly. It was a response to an injustice, a way to seek retribution. But I am not without mercy. If you truly wish to reverse the curse, you must complete a series of tasks." Mr. Thompson, hope rising in his chest, nodded eagerly. "Tell me what I need to do." The Gypsy grandmother, her fingers tracing patterns on the table, began to list the tasks. Some seemed simple enough. A donation to a local charity, a public apology for the store's oversight. But others were cryptic and challenging. A midnight vigil in the store's basement, the retrieval of a rare herb found only in the heart of the forest, and a promise to honor the spirits that resided in the store. As she spoke, Mr. Thompson took notes, his mind racing. Some of the tasks would be easy to accomplish, but others would require careful planning and execution. The Gypsy grandmother, having listed the tasks, fixed him with a stern gaze. "Remember," she warned, "each task must be completed with sincerity and respect. Any attempt to deceive or cut corners will only strengthen the curse." Mr. Thompson, his resolve strengthened, nodded. "I understand. We will do everything in our power to make things right." The Gypsy grandmother, her expression softening, replied, "I hope, for your sake, that you do." As Mr. Thompson made his way back to the store, the weight of the tasks ahead heavy on his mind, he couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. The path to redemption was clear, and with the support of his team, he was confident that they could reverse the curse and restore the store to its former glory. But as the days turned into weeks, and the tasks grew more challenging, he realized that the journey would not be easy. The curse, while powerful, was also a test of their integrity, their determination, and their commitment to making things right. And as the store embarked on its quest for atonement, the city of Austin watched with bated breath, eager to see if the Whole Foods flagship store could rise from the ashes and reclaim its place as a beloved institution. Chapter 12. The first task. The morning sun streamed through the large windows of the Whole Foods flagship store, casting a warm glow over the aisles. The staff, gathered in the conference room, listened intently as Mr. Thompson outlined the tasks set by the Gypsy grandmother. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation and a hint of anxiety. The first task, Mr. Thompson began, involves returning the stolen artifacts we discovered in the basement to their rightful place in the nearby town of Eldridge. Lucy, Jake, and Carlos, having previously ventured to Eldridge, exchanged uneasy glances. The memories of their last journey, filled with supernatural encounters, were still fresh in their minds. "We'll need a team," Mr. Thompson continued, "to ensure the artifacts are returned safely and respectfully." Lucy, her bravery unwavering, was the first to volunteer. "I'll go," she declared, her voice firm. Jake and Carlos, their loyalty to the store and their colleagues unwavering, quickly followed suit. With the team assembled, preparations began. The artifacts, carefully wrapped in cloth, were placed in a wooden chest. Maps of Eldridge and the surrounding forest were spread out on the table, and a route was plotted. As the team set out, the weight of their responsibility heavy on their shoulders, they couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. The journey to Eldridge, while short in distance, was fraught with danger. The forest, dense and overgrown, seemed to come alive as they ventured deeper. The trees, their branches gnarled and twisted, cast long shadows on the forest floor. The air, thick with the scent of decay, was punctuated by the distant cries of unseen creatures. As they made their way through the forest, the team encountered their first supernatural entity. A figure, ethereal and translucent, appeared before them. It was an old man, his face lined with age, his eyes filled with sadness. He floated above the ground, his movements slow and deliberate. Lucy, her heart pounding, stepped forward. "We mean no harm," she began, her voice trembling. "We're here to return what was stolen." The apparition, his gaze fixed on the chest, nodded slowly. "Beware," he whispered, his voice echoing through the forest. "The guardians of Eldridge do not take kindly to intruders." With his warning delivered, the apparition vanished, leaving the team shaken but determined to press on. As they neared Eldridge, they encountered more supernatural entities. Some were benevolent, guiding them through the forest and offering protection. Others were malevolent, their intentions clear. But with each encounter, the team grew stronger, their resolve unwavering. They had a mission to complete, and they would not be deterred. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the heart of Eldridge. The town, once bustling, was now abandoned, its buildings in ruins, its streets overgrown with weeds. At the town center stood a stone circle, its pillars ancient and weathered. And in the middle of the circle was a pedestal, its surface inscribed with runes. Carlos, recognizing the symbols, began to chant. The words, passed down through generations, held power, their energy palpable. As he chanted, Lucy and Jake placed the artifacts on the pedestal, their placement precise and deliberate. And then, as the last artifact was placed, a blinding light filled the circle. The ground shook, and a gust of wind swept through the town. The spirits of Eldridge, their energy amplified by the returned artifacts, began to materialize. They circled the team, their movements synchronized, their voices raised in a haunting melody. The team, their task complete, watched in awe as the spirits, freed from their earthly bonds, ascended into the heavens. The curse, which had plagued the store for so long, was one step closer to being broken. As they made their way back to the store, the weight of their accomplishment heavy on their minds, they couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had faced their fears, confronted the unknown, and emerged victorious. But as they would soon discover, the journey was far from over. The tasks set by the gypsy grandmother were many, and each one more challenging than the last. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. Chapter 13. The Anthem's origin. The Whole Foods flagship store, once a symbol of modernity and progress, had become a nexus of supernatural activity. The haunting anthem that played at unexpected times, compelling all to stand in reverence, was a constant reminder of the store's eerie transformation. But as the Spectral Containment team delved deeper into the store's mysteries, they stumbled upon a revelation that would change their understanding of the haunting. It was Luke, the historian of the group, who made the discovery. While researching the history of the land on which the store was built, he came across an old journal, its pages yellowed with age. The journal belonged to a settler who had lived in the area in the late 1800s. As he pored over the journal, a particular entry caught his eye. It spoke of an anthem, a melody that was sung by the townsfolk of Eldridge to ward off evil spirits. The anthem, with its haunting melody and powerful lyrics, was believed to have protective properties. It was sung at dawn and dusk, a daily ritual that kept the town safe from supernatural harm. Luke, realizing the significance of his discovery, shared it with the team. The anthem, he began, is not a random occurrence. It has historical significance. It was used by the people of Eldridge to protect themselves from evil spirits. The team, piecing together the clues, came to a realization. The anthem, which had been a source of fear and confusion, was actually a protective force. The spirits, bound to the land and angered by the store's presence, were using the anthem to communicate, to seek help. Mr. Thompson, having listened intently to Luke's findings, made a decision. "We need to embrace the anthem," he declared. "We need to turn it into a daily ritual, just as the people of Eldridge did." The staff, initially skeptical, soon came on board. The anthem, with its rich history and powerful energy, became a source of pride. Every morning, as the sun rose, the store's PA system played the anthem. The staff and customers, regardless of their beliefs, stood in reverence, honoring the spirits and the land's rich history. And as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the store's haunting began to subside. The spirits, their message heard and understood, began to find peace. The phantom shopping carts, the apparitions, and the other supernatural occurrences became less frequent. The store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was slowly returning to normal. But the anthem, with its haunting melody and powerful lyrics, remained a constant reminder of the store's journey. As the Spectral Containment team prepared to leave, having completed their mission, they couldn't help but reflect on their experience. They had faced their fears, confronted the unknown, and emerged victorious. But more importantly, they had learned the importance of understanding and respecting history. The Whole Foods flagship store, with its modern facade and commitment to quality, was now a symbol of resilience and unity. The anthem, once a source of fear, was now a source of pride, a daily ritual that brought the community together. And as the sun set, casting a warm glow over the store, the anthem played one last time, its melody echoing through the aisles, a testament to the store's journey and the power of understanding and respect. Chapter 14. The Phantom's Message. The Whole Foods flagship store had seen its fair share of oddities in the past few months, but nothing quite like this. Sarah, a young cashier who had been with the store for just over a year, approached Mr. Thompson with a claim that sent shivers down his spine. She said she could communicate with the apparitions. Sarah, always a quiet and reserved individual, had been experiencing vivid dreams where she found herself in the store, but not the store as they knew it. It was a version from a bygone era, filled with people dressed in old-fashioned attire, their faces pale and eyes filled with sorrow. They would speak to her, sharing their stories, their regrets, and their pleas for help. Initially dismissing these dreams as mere figments of her imagination, Sarah's perspective changed one fateful evening. While restocking the shelves, she felt a cold hand on her shoulder. Turning around, she found herself face to face with one of the apparitions from her dreams. The spirit, a young woman with flowing dark hair and a tattered dress, whispered, "Help us." Sarah, though terrified, felt a deep sense of empathy for the spirit. Over the next few nights, she engaged in whispered conversations with the apparitions, learning their stories and understanding their plight. The apparitions, she discovered, were trapped souls, victims of past injustices that had taken place on the very land the store now occupied. They spoke of betrayal, of promises broken, and of lives cut short. Their souls, unable to find peace, roamed the store, seeking justice and a chance at redemption. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah approached Mr. Thompson, sharing her experiences and the messages from the spirits. Mr. Thompson, though initially skeptical, could see the sincerity in Sarah's eyes. He called an emergency meeting with the staff, sharing Sarah's revelations. The store, it seemed, was built on a foundation of sorrow and injustice. To free the trapped souls and bring peace to the store, they would need to right the wrongs of the past. Lucy, Jake, Carlos, and the rest of the Spectral containment team, having witnessed the store's haunting firsthand, were quick to offer their support. Together, they embarked on a mission to uncover the store's dark history and find a way to make amends. Through extensive research, they discovered that the land the store occupied was once a thriving community, home to a diverse group of settlers. However, greed and betrayal led to a series of tragic events, resulting in the loss of many innocent lives. The spirits that now haunted the store were the souls of these victims, their cries for justice echoing through the ages. The team, determined to right the wrongs of the past, organized a series of events to honor the memory of the victims. They held memorial services, erected plaques detailing the land's history, and reached out to the descendants of the settlers, offering support and a chance at reconciliation. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the store's haunting began to subside. The apparitions, their pleas for help finally heard, began to find peace. The store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was now a beacon of hope and unity. Sarah, her connection with the spirits stronger than ever, continued to communicate with them, guiding them towards the light and helping them find peace. The store, with its commitment to understanding and respect, had become a symbol of redemption and reconciliation. And as the sun set, casting a warm glow over the store, the spirits, their souls finally at rest, ascended into the heavens, their cries for justice replaced with whispers of gratitude and love. Chapter 15. The final task. The Whole Foods flagship store, once a symbol of modern consumerism, had transformed into a beacon of hope and reconciliation. The spirit stories, filled with pain and longing, had touched the hearts of the staff and the community. And now, with the final task at hand, The store was abuzz with anticipation. The grand feast, a celebration to honor the spirits and the land, was to be an event like no other. The store's vast parking lot was transformed into a sprawling banquet area, with long wooden tables adorned with white linens and colorful centerpieces. Lanterns hung from trees, casting a soft, warm glow over the area. Musicians played traditional tunes, their melodies echoing the rich history of the land. Invitations were sent out to the entire community, from the oldest residents to the newest arrivals. The feast was not just a celebration. It was a chance for the community to come together, to share stories, and to heal. As the sun began to set, the guests started to arrive. They were greeted with warm smiles and hearty handshakes, a testament to the store's commitment to unity and understanding. The aroma of delicious food filled the air, with dishes that celebrated the diverse heritage of the community. But amidst the laughter and joy, one figure stood out. The gypsy grandmother, her presence commanding and enigmatic, watched from a distance. Her eyes, sharp and observant, took in every detail, from the joyous reunions to the heartfelt conversations. The feast began with a moment of silence, a tribute to the spirits and the land. Mr. Thompson, his voice filled with emotion, spoke of the store's journey, of the challenges they had faced, and of the hope that now filled their hearts. He spoke of the importance of understanding and respect, of the need to honor the past and look forward to the future. As the night wore on, the atmosphere was filled with joy and camaraderie. Old friends reconnected, new friendships were forged, and stories of the past were shared with reverence and respect. The highlight of the evening was the ceremonial dance, a tribute to the spirits and the land. Led by the gypsy grandmother, the dance was a mesmerizing display of grace and power. The dancers, their movements synchronized and fluid, moved in perfect harmony, their steps echoing the rhythms of the land. As the dance reached its climax, the gypsy grandmother approached Mr. Thompson. Her eyes, filled with wisdom and understanding, met his. "You have done well," she whispered, her voice filled with pride. "The spirits are at peace, and the land is healed." Mr. Thompson, overwhelmed with emotion, nodded. "Thank you," he replied, his voice choked with tears. "We couldn't have done it without you." The gypsy grandmother, her mission complete, smiled. "Remember," she said, "the land has a story to tell, and it is our duty to listen." And as the night wore on, and the guests began to depart, the store stood tall and proud, a symbol of hope, unity, and understanding. The spirits, their souls finally at rest, watched over the store, their presence a reminder of the importance of respect and reverence. The Whole Foods flagship store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was now a beacon of hope and unity. The final task, a celebration of the spirits and the land, was a testament to the store's commitment to understanding and respect. And as the sun rose, casting a warm glow over the store, the spirits, their souls finally at rest, watched over the store, their presence a reminder of the store's journey and the power of understanding and respect. Chapter 16. The Night of Reckoning, the Grand Feast, a symbol of unity and reconciliation, was in full swing. The Whole Foods flagship store's parking lot was alive with laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. The community, brought together by the store's haunting journey, celebrated with fervor. But as the night deepened, an unsettling undercurrent began to ripple through the festivities. It started subtly. A cold gust of wind, seemingly out of place on the warm summer night, swept through the banquet area. Lanterns flickered, casting eerie shadows on the tables. The musicians, mid-song, felt their instruments go out of tune, the melodies turning discordant. Lucy, always attuned to the supernatural, felt a shiver run down her spine. She exchanged a worried glance with Jake and Carlos. The spectral containment specialists, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, began to gather their equipment. As the paranormal activities intensified, the guests began to notice. Glasses levitated off tables, only to shatter on the ground. Chairs moved on their own, sliding away just as guests were about to sit. The laughter and chatter that had filled the air were replaced by gasps of surprise and fear. Mr. Thompson, trying to maintain calm, grabbed a microphone. "Please, everyone, remain calm," he urged. But his voice was drowned out by a deafening roar. The sky, which had been clear and starry, was now dark and foreboding. Massive storm clouds gathered, lightning illuminating the parking lot in stark, bright flashes. The wind picked up, its howls echoing the cries of the trapped spirits. Rain began to pour, drenching the guests and turning the ground to mud. The feast, which had been a symbol of hope and unity, was now a scene of chaos and fear. The spectral containment specialists, their equipment at the ready, sprang into action. They formed a protective circle around the banquet area, their tools glowing with a soft blue light. But the spirits, their energy amplified by the storm, were relentless. They darted in and out of the protective circle, their cries filled with anger and pain. Lucy, her bravery unwavering, stepped forward. "We need to unite," she shouted over the roar of the storm. "We need to use the power of the anthem." The store's staff, understanding the significance of Lucy's words, began to sing. Their voices, filled with hope and determination, rose above the chaos. The anthem, with its haunting melody and powerful lyrics, filled the air. The spirits, drawn to the anthem's energy, began to gather around the staff. Their cries, once filled with anger, were now filled with sorrow. The spectral containment specialists, seizing the opportunity, began to chant. Their words, ancient and powerful, combined with the anthem's energy, creating a force field that enveloped the spirits. The storm, sensing the shift in energy, began to subside. The rain slowed to a drizzle, the wind died down, and the clouds began to disperse. The spirits, their energy now calm and peaceful, began to ascend into the heavens. Their cries, once filled with pain, were now filled with gratitude and love. As the dawn broke, the guests, drenched and exhausted, began to depart. The store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was now a symbol of hope and unity. The night of reckoning, with its chaos and fear, was a testament to the store's resilience and the power of understanding and respect. The spectral containment specialists, their mission complete, packed up their equipment. They had faced their greatest challenge yet and had emerged victorious. But as they would soon discover, the journey was far from over. The store's haunting, while subdued, was not completely eradicated. The spirits, while at peace, still roamed the store, their presence a reminder of the store's journey and the importance of respect and reverence. Chapter 17. The gypsy's kind words. The aftermath of the storm was a sight to behold. The once festive banquet area was now a mess of overturned tables, broken glass, and drenched linens. The guests, their clothes soaked and spirits dampened, huddled together, seeking warmth and comfort. The spectral containment specialists, exhausted from their battle with the spirits, were tending to their equipment, ensuring no damage had been done. Amidst the chaos, a lone figure stood tall and unwavering. The gypsy grandmother, her dark eyes surveying the scene, moved with a grace that belied her age. Her presence, always commanding, was now magnified, drawing the attention of all present. She approached the center of the banquet area, her steps deliberate and measured. Raising her arms, she began to speak. Her voice, soft yet powerful, echoed throughout the store, reaching every nook and cranny. With the breath of the wise, the storm shall subside, she began, her words weaving a tapestry of hope and healing. The spirits, their cries heard and understood, shall find peace and solace. As she spoke, the storm, which had been raging with unabated fury, began to subside. The rain, once torrential, slowed to a gentle drizzle. The wind, which had been howling with anger, now whispered words of comfort. The apparitions, their energy amplified by the storm, began to gather around the gypsy grandmother. Drawn to her words and her energy, they listened with rapt attention, their cries of pain and anger replaced with whispers of gratitude and love. The land, with its rich history and powerful energy, shall heal, the gypsy grandmother continued. The store, with its commitment to understanding and respect, shall prosper. As she spoke, the apparitions, their souls finally at peace, began to ascend into the heavens. Their presence, once a source of fear and chaos, was now a symbol of hope and redemption. The gypsy grandmother, having delivered her message, turned to Mr. Thompson. "The curse," she said, her voice filled with wisdom and understanding, "is no more." Mr. Thompson, overwhelmed with emotion, nodded. "Thank you," he replied, his voice choked with tears. "We couldn't have done it without you." The gypsy grandmother, her mission complete, smiled. "Remember," she said, "the land has a story to tell, and it is our duty to listen." And as the sun rose, casting a warm glow over the store, the spirits, their souls finally at rest, watched over the store, their presence a reminder of the store's journey and the power of understanding and respect. The Whole Foods flagship store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was now a beacon of hope and unity. The gypsies' kind words, with their power and energy, had brought peace and healing to the store. And as the guests began to depart, their spirits lifted and their hearts full of gratitude, the store stood tall and proud, a testament to its resilience and the importance of respect and reverence. Chapter 18. The store's redemption. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, casting a gentle glow over the Whole Foods flagship store. The aftermath of the night's events was evident everywhere. Tables lay overturned, broken glass glittered on the wet ground, and the remnants of the grand feast were scattered haphazardly. But amidst the chaos, there was a palpable sense of relief and hope. Word of the night's supernatural occurrences had spread like wildfire throughout Austin. By mid-morning, a steady stream of community members began arriving at the store. Some came out of curiosity, having heard tales of apparitions and phantom shopping carts. Others came to offer their help, rolling up their sleeves and diving into the cleanup efforts. Mr. Thompson, the store manager, was at the forefront, coordinating the cleanup activities. He was joined by Lucy, Jake, Carlos, and the rest of the Spectral containment team. Their expertise, while primarily in dealing with the supernatural, proved invaluable in organizing the volunteers. As the day wore on, the store began to regain its former glory. Volunteers swept up broken glass, righted overturned tables, and salvaged whatever food they could. The musicians, their instruments now tuned and ready, played uplifting tunes, their melodies providing a much-needed boost to the volunteers' spirits. Local businesses pitched in as well. Restaurants sent over food and drinks, hardware stores donated cleaning supplies, and a nearby nursery provided plants and flowers to brighten up the store. It was a testament to the community's resilience and unity. By late afternoon, the store was almost back to its former state. The parking lot, once a scene of chaos and fear, was now filled with laughter and camaraderie. Children ran around, playing games and chasing each other, while adults sat around, sharing stories and reminiscing about the store's rich history. The store's reputation, which had taken a hit due to the haunting, was now stronger than ever. Residents, both old and new, spoke with pride about the store's resilience and its commitment to understanding and respect. The tales of the Gypsy grandmother, the apparitions, and the night of reckoning had become a part of the store's lore, a testament to its rich history and the importance of respect and reverence. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the store, a sense of contentment settled over the community. The store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was now a beacon of hope and unity. The events of the past few months had brought the community closer together, forging bonds that would last a lifetime. Mr. Thompson, standing at the entrance of the store, looked out at the sea of smiling faces. "We did it," he whispered, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. "Together, we overcame the odds and emerged stronger than ever." And as the night descended, the Whole Foods flagship store, with its rich history and commitment to understanding and respect, stood tall and proud, a symbol of hope, unity, and redemption. Chapter 19. The New Beginning. The Whole Foods flagship store in Austin, once a bustling hub of modern consumerism, had undergone a profound transformation. The events of the past few months had not only reshaped its physical space but had also deeply impacted its soul. The haunting, the apparitions, the Gypsy grandmother's curse, and the subsequent redemption had left an indelible mark on the store and its community. As days turned into weeks, the store began introducing new traditions to honor its tumultuous past. Every month, on the night of the reckoning, the store would host a community gathering. The event, aptly named the Night of Remembrance, was a blend of celebration and reverence. Musicians would play traditional tunes, reminiscent of the anthem that had once echoed through the store's aisles. Local artisans set up stalls, showcasing their crafts and paying homage to the store's rich history. One of the most touching traditions was the Wall of Memories. A large section of the store was dedicated to photographs, articles, and personal anecdotes from the community, chronicling the store's journey from its inception to its recent supernatural events. Visitors could walk through this makeshift museum, immersing themselves in the store's rich tapestry of history. The Gypsy grandmother, once a harbinger of doom, had now become a revered figure in the community. Her wisdom, strength, and resilience were celebrated, and tales of her life and her interactions with the store became legendary. A beautiful portrait of her, capturing her enigmatic eyes and serene smile, was commissioned and placed prominently in the store. Beneath it, a plaque read, "In honor of the guardian of our history and the beacon of our future." Children would often gather around the portrait, their eyes wide with wonder, as elders narrated tales of the Gypsy grandmother's life, her curse, and the store's eventual redemption. She became a symbol of the importance of understanding, respect, and the power of kind words. Paranormal events, which had once plagued the store, became a thing of the past. The apparitions, now at peace, no longer roamed the aisles. The phantom shopping carts, once a source of fear, were now remembered with a mix of nostalgia and amusement. The store's PA system, which had once announced phantom sales, now played soothing melodies, setting a calm and serene ambiance. Mr. Thompson, the store manager, often found himself reflecting on the store's journey. From the initial days of fear and uncertainty to the eventual redemption and new beginnings, it had been a roller coaster of emotions. But through it all, the store had emerged stronger, its bond with the community unbreakable. As the store ushered in this new era, it did so with a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. The lessons of the past were not forgotten. They were embraced and celebrated. The store, with its rich history and commitment to understanding and respect, was not just a place of commerce. It was a living testament to the power of unity, resilience, and the human spirit. And as the sun set on another day, casting a warm glow over the store, the community gathered, their hearts full of gratitude and hope. The Whole Foods flagship store, once a hub of paranormal activity, was now a beacon of hope, unity, and new beginnings. Chapter 20. The legacy of the curse. The tale of the Whole Foods flagship store's haunting had transformed into a local legend, passed down from one generation to the next. It was a story that captivated the imagination, a testament to the resilience of the store and the power of redemption. As the years went by, the events of that fateful period became a cherished part of Austin's folklore. Tourists and visitors who came to the city would often make a special trip to the store. They wanted to experience firsthand the place where the haunting had occurred, to walk through the aisles that had once been filled with apparitions, and to pay their respects to the gypsy grandmother's portrait that hung proudly in the store. The Night of Remembrance, held every month on the anniversary of the Night of Reckoning, had become a must-attend event for both locals and tourists. It was a time of celebration and reflection, a chance to remember the store's journey and the importance of understanding and respect. The gypsy grandmother's story, too, had become a cherished part of the community's heritage. Her portrait, with its enigmatic eyes and serene smile, was now a symbol of hope and kindness. Visitors would often leave flowers at its base, a gesture of gratitude for her role in the store's redemption. The store itself thrived. Its commitment to quality, sustainability, and the values of understanding and respect had drawn customers from far and wide. It had become a destination, not just for groceries, but for a unique and enriching experience. But amidst the bustling aisles and the joyous gatherings, a sense of mystery lingered. The staff members, especially the long-serving ones, would occasionally share stories of the haunting with new hires. They would speak in hushed tones, recounting the nights when the PA system blared the anthem unexpectedly or when shopping carts seemed to have a mind of their own. New staff members, often skeptical, would laugh off these stories as mere urban legends. They couldn't fathom the idea of a once haunted store, a place where apparitions roamed and curses held sway. They dismissed the tales as fanciful exaggerations, unaware of the store's haunted past. And as the new staff member, fresh-faced and eager, joined the team, they couldn't help but overhear the whispers. "Did you hear about the Gypsy's Curse?" One staff member would say. "Oh, that's just an old story," another would reply with a chuckle. The new recruit would shake their head, a hint of skepticism in their eyes, and continue with their work. But as they pushed a shopping cart down an empty aisle, they couldn't help but notice a faint, lingering chill in the air. The PA system, which had been playing soothing melodies all day, suddenly crackled to life. The anthem, with its haunting melody and powerful lyrics, began to play. The new staff member, their laughter fading, felt a strange sensation wash over them. The shopping cart, seemingly of its own accord, began to roll forward, its wheels squeaking in eerie harmony with the anthem. As they stood there, frozen in place, they heard a soft whisper in their ear, a voice filled with wisdom and kindness. "Remember," the voice said, "the land has a story to tell, and it is our duty to listen." And as the new staff members stood there, the echoes of the store's haunted past washing over them, they couldn't help but wonder if there was more to the legend than they had initially believed. The Whole Foods flagship store, with its rich history and commitment to understanding and respect, had a legacy that transcended time, a legacy that would continue to intrigue and mystify generations to come. If you have enjoyed our paranormal scary story about the cursed Whole Foods store in Austin, please visit us at Paranormal Untold Stories. Come to listen to more of our scary stories collection. Paranormal Untold Stories encourages you to contact us if you have your own untold story that you would like our professionals team to put online as a scary story. Thank you. Please follow our YouTube channel, Paranormal Untold Stories, and encourage others to do the same. Paranormal Untold Stories.